On a day Jerry Sands became a household name in Cleveland, it was Detroit who had the last word. The Tribe came fighting back, but they couldn't get that shutdown inning when they needed against a potent Tigers lineup. Today, the Indians will try to hand their Central Division rivals their first loss of the season behind left-hander T.J. House. Next on Sports Time Ohio. This Indians-Tigers series sponsorship is presented by Chevrolet. On another beautiful day in downtown Cleveland, the Indians will try to channel their inner Jim Thome and avoid being swept at the hands of the Detroit Tigers here today. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Rick, through the first 5 games of the season, the Tigers' offense has been ridiculous. And with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, they're batting .441 as a team, really making life miserable for the opposition.
Well, it's the toughest hit to get in baseball. But, you expect the middle part of this Tiger lineup to hit always, which they do. But when the 1-2 guys, the table setters get on base, and your number 9 or the bottom part of the lineup starts swinging the bat like they're swinging, they're unstoppable. And they have been in this series because when you look at it, they're hitting the ball all over the ballpark. They have 32 hits. 23 of those have been up the middle or the other way. 17 runs. And the key, 2 outs with runners in scoring position, 10 for 19. When you're doing that, you're in for a long game.
And they're getting out to early starts, too. They've outscored the opposition 26-0 through the first 5 innings of their game. So it's nice for their starting pitcher to get out, play with the early lead. All right, when we come back, we're going to get the latest on the injury to Indians catcher Yan Gomes. That's straight ahead when Indians baseball returns here on Sports Time Ohio. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. And we welcome you into Progressive Field. Lots of sunshine, blue skies overhead. This series finale coming up here between the Indians and the Detroit Tigers. Big story of the day so far, injury news. And with that, the injury report is brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. The Indians had to put Yan Gomes on the 15-day disabled list with a right knee sprain. He's going to get an MRI, and we'll wait to see what the results of that are. Also, the Indians making the moves, calling up Sean Markham and Austin Adams. Kyle Crockett sent back to AAA Columbus. And to make room, Charles Brewer was released. With more on the injury now to Yan Gomes, let's go downstairs to Andre Knott.
Thanks, Matt. The latest is that the MRI is done. Yan Gomes was here on the field. He received his Silver Slugger Award. He and Michael Brantley, both out of the lineup dealing with injuries. Both of them received the Silver Slugger bat. But now we have to wait for the MRI news. We should have it in the first couple of innings from the latest that I've gathered. But this makes an opportunity for Roberto Perez to be a catcher. He's a guy that came up last year and really in his late parts of the season, he had an impact. Now the Indians are going to need him to make a big impact. And earlier today, Terry Francona talked about what he told Roberto Perez when spring training started. Let's listen to the sounds of the game, brought to you by Hear Right Audiology.
The pitcher on the staff has not one single issue thrown with Roberto. I mean, they're just, he's the only, I mean, he has a little bit less experience than Gomes, not a ton, but some. But they all love throwing to him, and that we told him this spring. We said, hey man, prepare like you're going to be an everyday guy, because you're always one injury away from being an everyday guy. Unfortunately, that happened. The good side of it for us is that he can handle this.
And so the challenge now falls to Roberto Perez to pick up the pieces and try to move forward for this Indians ball club. Again, we'll wait to see what the MRI says before there's any kind of word on how long Yan Gomes might be out of the lineup, though.
Yeah, you just wait to hear and hopefully it's good news as opposed to he doesn't need surgery or something like that, so it is only maybe the 2-week DL.
In the meantime, the Indians have to find a way to slow down these Tiger bats. This is a Detroit lineup that has been red hot. TJ House is going to get the start today. The Indians have never lost with TJ House on the mound here in Cleveland. But this is a Tigers team that has just been hitting anything and everything in the first 2 games of the series, and for that matter, the first 5 games of the season. Yeah, you look at their numbers. They're leading the league 364 as a team. They've scored 39 runs through their first 5 games. They are on fire, and it's the table setters when they reach, and you expect the big boys, the Martinez, Cabreras, and Cespedes to do their job. But boy, when the other guys are pitching in, they're in for a tough game, whoever's playing them. And TJ House is the guy that has to go out. Hopefully he can get through that lineup and pitch deep into the game, as much as Terry had to use that bullpen over the last 2 days. They are exhausted, and he would love to get a complete game. That would be the perfect world today. Well, TJ House takes the field, and the team will trot out behind him. And with that, we'll take a look at the Tigers starting lineup for manager Brad Ausmus, presented by Toyota. Rajai Davis gets the start in the leadoff spot, followed by Ian Kinsler, who is on fire in this series, followed by Miguel Cabrera, who actually has more hits than Kinsler in the series. Victor Martinez suffered a slight knee injury in yesterday's game, but back in there in the DH spot hitting cleanup. Then it's J.D. Martinez. Yoenis Cespedes bat 6th. Nick Castellanos 7th. James McCann will start behind the plate in bat 8th. And Jose Iglesias, the shortstop, will bat 9th. And today's Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher for the Tribe will be TJ House, waiting his time, and he will get his turn in the rotation. He's looking forward to it. He has never pitched against the Detroit Tigers. This will be his very first start. He's pitched against everybody else in the Central Division, but this will be his first look at a very hot-hitting team with a lot of right-handed hitters. He's 3-0 last year in this ballpark. He's pitched very well. This guy moves it in and out, changes speeds, tries to keep the barrel of the bat off the ball, but he will have his work cut out for him this afternoon. Let's check out the Indians defense, brought to you by Chrysler. Behind house this afternoon, it looks like this. Sands gets a start in left field. Michael Bourne in center. Brandon Moss over in right. Chisenhall will be at third. Aviles is starting at short today. Kipnis is at second. Santana at first. And Roberto Perez will be doing the catching. Dan Isanya will call the balls and strikes today. C.B. Buckner is at first, Lance Barrett at second, and the crew chief, Dale Scott, down at third. So Roberto Perez behind the dish for the foreseeable future. At the very least, it's 2 weeks of 15-day DL for Yan Gomes. And at least for today, Carlos Santana is your backup catcher. Davis in the leadoff spot. Did not start game one. Came on yesterday late in the ball game. 0 for 1 with a walk. He was the runner who tagged at third and came home and scored when he made contact with the foot of Yan Gomes that ultimately caused the injury. Now the 2-0.
There you go. Typical TJ House. Gets the ball, stays right on the rubber, and let's go. It's going to take him a few to get wired in because he hasn't been in game action in a while.
Two balls and 2 strikes as that ball went whistling back into the crowd. House ready to go with the 2-2. A little bit low and a full count. Now the payoff. Inside. Ball 4. Here are the keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Shutdown innings. The Indians have not been able to manage many of those. Opposite field approach against the left-hander Kyle Lobstein. Ian Kinsler. Four-hit game yesterday. Singles in his last 3 at-bats. The last 2 each drove in a run. House will be facing a Tigers lineup that features all right-handed bats. Victor Martinez, a switch hitter in the cleanup spot, but sometimes, I remember our old buddy Brian Anderson used to say as a left-handed pitcher, you don't mind it if they're all stacked on one side of the plate because you kind of get into a groove looking for your spots and you just stay there.
When you go the change up down and away like we just saw, and you can throw those cutters in, and you don't have to change your pattern on the mound because they're all right-handed hitters. I understand what he's saying there. You know, where you have a couple lefties where you have to make an adjustment.
Downstairs?
But we'll see, because the Tigers have never faced TJ before. And they've been staying on the baseball. Kinsler, I mean, this guy has really, when he starts going the other way, like he has in this series, he had a couple of huge hits to tie the game and one to give him the lead yesterday. When he starts hitting like that, you could be in trouble. You see how he's going inside? Mm-hmm. He was always a dead pull hitter.
Right.
Tried to hook everything, tried to hit everything to left field. I don't know who got in his mind or what made him change, but I'll tell you what. This guy is a much better hitter right now from what we've seen. He's trying to go that way with it with 2 strikes.
The throw to first drives Davis back.
Yeah, Davis getting a start today. Anthony Gose has been starting and leading off for him, playing center field, who's done it off to a tremendous start. But those 2 guys give him a little speed.
1-2 to Kinsler, down and in. Able to lay off, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Just underway here at Progressive Field. The 2-2. In the hole, a base hit. And Davis stops at second. Moss got to it quickly. So Kinsler stays with that opposite field approach.
That's the scary thing, and that's what Detroit has been doing all series long. Most of their hits have been singles out of their 32 hits in this series. This one, a fastball away, is right in his wheelhouse. He elevated it a little bit, and that made it a little easier for him to go to right field.
By my count, that's the 28th single in the series for Detroit.
That's what I was just going to say. They're singling you to death. They're staying on it. They're not trying to pull it. Tough outs.
Miguel Cabrera has gone 7 for 10. Runners go, both of them. Throw to third by Perez, off the glove of Chisenhall, and coming home to score is Davis. And on his way to third is Kinsler.
Well, applying the pressure early. Detroit, as soon as they go to first and second, even with the hitter Cabrera, very first pitch, they take off. The throw from Perez is wide of the mark. There comes Chisenhall. He sees him. He gets over there in time, but the throw is way off the mark and into left field. Davis comes in to score. Kinsler goes to third. It's 1-0, and it was a strike. Stolen base and an error.
Talk about the element of surprise. The last thing you expect really with Cabrera at the plate is for the runners to take off.
That's exactly right. But they did. Oh, they're playing free and easy.
There is a long drive, deep left field, and way gone onto the home run porch for Miguel Cabrera. And just like that, it's 3-0 Detroit.
Now this offense continues to dominate Indians pitching.
First home run for Cabrera gives him 6 RBIs on the young season.
Let's see what this is. I don't know if it was a changeup or it was a fastball, but whatever, it was middle of the plate, and he just launches it and leaves the yard.
And up comes Victor Martinez. 3 batters into the game, 3-0 Detroit. They have now, and again, it's only the first, but they've outscored their opponents 29-0 in the first 5 innings of their game so far.
Well, they are what you call locked in. I was a little surprised to see Victor in there after they took him out of the game late. He took that swing from the left side of the plate, and it looked like his knee buckled on him, but he's right back in there from the other side of the plate today.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that he doesn't have to drive off that leg.
Could be. Very well could be.
Hit him. And a warning immediately issued to all parties.
Why? Why is there a warning right there? Because you're going inside on a hitter?
With an 0-2 pitch.
That's bad right there. Dan Isanya, there's no reason to warn anybody. Yeah, he's going to hear it from both sides because it got him in the ribs.
What do you want him to do? Throw at his head?
Yeah, I mean that's weak. That's weak right there. There has been nothing like that all series long, and you get in the first inning, and because he throws, it gets in there and gets him in the ribs, he's going to warn somebody. Now, let's say the Tigers pitcher comes inside. He hasn't even been on the mound yet. Is he going to get ejected because he hit somebody? Look at House. He can't believe it. You've got to pitch inside.
Outside for ball 1 to J.D. Martinez.
This is going to make a long day today. That warning right there.
Two balls, no strikes. Well, hey, we know that the way the Tigers are swinging the bats, especially right now, it's a tall order for any starting pitcher. But in particular for T.J. House, they're looking for him to get them some length today because how many innings the bullpen has already had to been used.
That is right. They have been worn out in this series.
So if he gets somehow ejected early here, that would be worst case scenario. Right now he'd settle for getting his first out. 2-1 pitch. In the hole. Another base hit into left field. Victor Martinez stops at second.
Well, you see, now he's got to get that ball in, because if you try to go inside, you can't be worried about hitting somebody. That ball stayed middle of the plate. He's got to get out of there.
Yoenis Cespedes. With 2 on, nobody out. TJ looking for that ground ball right here. And a first pitch strike. Bit of a shift on for Cespedes, and that Kipnis is really shading him up the middle from his second base position. One on one to count. And a strike over the inside corner as Cespedes was backing away. TJ gets ahead. Again, he had Martinez down on the count 0-2 when the pitch got away that hit him.
Already, TJ, with 26 pitches and yet to retire a batter.
No doubt there's some concern for Terry Francona. He does not want to have to get into that bullpen early today.
No siree.
Even with a couple of new arms. Now the 1-2. In off the plate.
It's okay. That's a good pitch. He has to pitch like that with this kind of stuff. You got to run it inside.
th pitch of the inning. Swing and a miss. Boy, Cespedes almost came out of his shoes. First out of the inning.
Yeah, on his 28th pitch. Finally gets the first out. You know, you're talking about that bullpen. You're going to see this pitch down, but he's trying to lift and separate there. When you get 2 strikes, helped him out right there out of the strike zone. He chases after it, but they do get the first out. We're talking about that Cleveland bullpen in this series. They've pitched 7 2/3 innings, and they've thrown 168 pitches as the bullpen, allowing 12 hits and 10 runs, and also 7 walks.
It has not been pretty. And now Nick Castellanos with 2 on and 1 out. Fouls the first pitch back. Now the 0-1. Good off-speed pitch. Had Castellanos fooled. It's 0-2. Threw it down low where Cespedes chased after it, but Castellanos able to hold up. He's 2 for 8 in the series, but one of his 2 hits was a homer on opening day here in Cleveland. 1-2.
Good
Got
pitch.
him looking. Painted the inside corner. Back-to-back strikeouts for T.J. House. 2 down here in the inning.
Good pitch. Take a look at our Circle K strikeout here by T.J. House going inside with a fastball. You can see those right-handers. They want to lean out over the plate and look for something out over there, and you get to 2 strikes, and that's a nice fastball right there.
James McCann will now bat. And a first pitch strike. Out of play. You know, I was just looking, Rick, on the Tigers' current active roster. There are only 2 guys that don't have a hit. Hernan Perez, who has 1 at bat, and Rajay Davis only has 4 at bats. Everybody has been into the act for Detroit.
Boy, I'll say.
McCann awaits the 0-2, and he bounces it to third. Chisenhall scoops it, goes to second for the inning-ending force. But the Tigers jump on T.J. House. First 3 batters all reach, all score. 3-0 Tigers. Indians coming to bat. Lineup is presented by Progressive Insurance. Michael Bourne will lead it off. Then it's Mike Aviles getting the start at shortstop in the 2-hole. Jason Kipnis hits third. He's hit in 4 straight. Carlos Santana bats cleanup. Then it's Jerry Sands, yesterday's near hero for the Tribe. Brandon Moss, Ryan Rayburn, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Roberto Perez.
Today's Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher for the Tigers, Kyle Lobstein, is making his first start. He made a couple of starts against the Indians last year. Doesn't have a win or a loss, but in 10 1/3 innings, given up 11 hits and 6 runs, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts. Had a couple of starts against him last year, and they're calling him up with all the lefties, and they're starting him again today. Nothing overpowering. Fastball, curveball, changeup.
Quickly into the line, and the 0-1 to Bourne is yanked to right field. J.D. Martinez on the run, cuts it off, and he'll hold Bourne to a leadoff single.
There's Michael, get a fastball middle in and turns on it. Good swing to get it going. As I said, Lobstein is not overpowering. He needs to make his pitches. But picked on a good fastball to hit right there.
Not overpowering, but last year in a game right here at Progressive Field, Lobstein gave the Indians fits when he struck out 10 batters in a start on September the 2nd. And Aviles takes a called strike. He's in the hole now, 0-2. 1 for 6 in the series for Aviles. And the 0-2 is up high. Right back to Lobstein. Dropped the ball, and now he'll turn to first and get the out there. So Bourne manages to get into scoring position on the misplay by Lobstein.
Let's check the Tigers defense, brought to you by Chrysler. It'll be Cespedes in left, Davis in center, Martinez in right, Castellanos at third, Iglesias at short, Kinsler at second, Cabrera at first with McCann doing the catching. He had a routine double play ball and just dropped it. That's what helped the Indians yesterday in about the 6th inning when Price had a double play ball and opened up the inning for him.
Jason Kipnis. Off to a good start at the plate. 7 out of 21 on the year. Indians trying to answer Detroit's 3-run first. Bourne takes off. He's got it stolen easily as he beats the tag by Castellanos. McCann did a heck of a job to make that close because Bourne had a fantastic jump.
Well, on the short hop, if you watch Castellanos grab the ball, he has to go down and his glove goes up. He can't apply the tag because of the short hop. If that ball is on the money, they had a lot better chance at getting him. Watch the short hop. The glove goes up, and he can't apply the tag. And Michael slides in safely, so a stolen base for Bourne.
His first on the year. And now Kipnis a swing and a miss on the 2-0 pitch. Called a strike, and Kipnis has something to say to home plate umpire Dan Isani. He did not agree.
Well, you can see why. That ball was well outside.
Now the 2-2. Good stop by McCann. Keeps Bourne at third. And now the count is full for Kipnis. Carlos Santana waits on deck.
Well, you want to get in every run now. The way the Tigers are swinging the bat, you got to take advantage of every situation. You have an opportunity to get one home, and there's one right here.
Kipnis cuts and misses. 2 down. Window Systems game time temperature 60 degrees under sunny skies. A few stray clouds starting to filter into downtown Cleveland, but generally a beautiful day.
Yeah, sunshine all 3 games of this series. It's been baseball weather, huh?
Really, you couldn't ask for anything better
No,
for April.
You're right. Yeah, we could. A little better outcome of the way this is going.
That's true. Santana swinging a foul tip into the glove of McCann.
Weather-wise, perfect.
Perfect, but the baseball been a little Tiger top heavy. Carlos Santana 3 for 6 in the series with a couple of runs batted in, couple of runs scored. Detroit put 3 infielders on the left side of the dirt for Santana. 1-1 pitch. Ground ball, and it beats the shift for an RBI single. Santana
Nice
delivers Michael Bourne with the Indians' first run. They cut the Tigers' lead to 3-1.
I like it. That's a big 2-out hit for the Indians. Those are the ones the Tigers have been getting. The Indians needed one. Maybe a little confidence here. This will be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. There's 3 over on the left side of the infield. Look like a high changeup. And Santana is able to stay back and drill that ball through because it was elevated. So a 2-out base hit gets the Indians on the board. They answer that 3-run first with a run of their own, which is good.
Now Jerry Sands, 3 for 4 yesterday with 4 runs batted in. Pops it high and foul out of play.
You know, that's what the Tigers have done to the Indians. When the Indians come back to score their response runs, they had outscored them 10-1 until that one right there, and now it is 10-2. But the Indians need some of their own 2-out lightning.
Well, Jerry Sands joined a very select group of players yesterday. Since 1920, when the RBI became an official stat, he's only the 4th Indian to drive in 4 runs in his debut with the club. The last guy to do it was Kevin Kuzminoff.
I remember Grand Slam in Texas.
Back in 06. Before that, Leon Daddy Wagner did it in 1964. Roy Weatherly in 1936, and that was his major league debut.
Well, I don't expect them to throw any fastballs out over the plate for Sands. It's going to be change-ups out there, and they're going to have to run the fastballs in. There's the change-up. That's what they're going to try and do, attack him. Change-ups down and away to see, because he stays on there, he hits the 2 doubles the opposite way. They know he stays inside the ball, so it's off speed, pound him inside. Show pitch.
And he's got a full count. Brandon Moss, left-handed batter, waits on deck. Santana will be off at first. Sands sends one shallow center. In comes Davis, and out goes Kinsler to grab it. The inning is over. Carlos Santana with a 2-out RBI hit has the Indians on the board. 3-1 Tigers after 1. The number 9 hitter going to lead off for Detroit. They sent 8 men to the plate in the first, scored 3 times. Indians answered back with 1 in the bottom of the first. Jose Iglesias takes a strike.
This guy off to a great start after missing almost all of last year. Both these left-handers going against each other today have to hit their spots. A little different arm angle for T.J. House. He comes more out of the three-quarter side than Lobstein.
He's falling behind here, 3-1.
It's the one thing that hurt the Indians yesterday when Romine was playing. They walked him 3 straight times later in the game in the number 9 hole. And you cannot do that on this ball club. You've got to attack the hitters that you can afford to go after and make them swing the bat and put it in play.
3-2 pitch. Slowly chopped to second. Kipnis throws him out, 1 away. Well, let's go down to Andre Knott. What's the latest now you're hearing on Yan Gomes?
He sustained an MCL sprain in yesterday's game versus Detroit. The injury was confirmed via MRI this morning over at the Cleveland Clinic. Yan is expected to miss up to 6 to 8 weeks of game activity, guys, and it looks like Brett Hayes will be called up to be the backup catcher going forward for the next couple of months.
Well, there you go. Roberto Perez will be catching every single day now. That's bad news. That's not what we wanted to hear.
Davis with a foul tip into the glove of Perez. Boy, that's really disappointing for Gomes, coming off such a terrific year, winning the Silver Slugger Award and really coming into his own as a catcher all around. And now possibly out 2 months. Two-one count for Davis. Walked and scored in the first. And now he singles to center. So that leaves only one Tiger on their roster that does not have a hit this year.
Well, there's a pitch down and away. That's not a bad pitch. With their approach, I'm telling you, it seems like every hitter in that lineup has this approach. Boy, they are, and they're taking their singles. They're taking what's given. That was a pretty good pitch right there. He stayed on it and gets the base hit.
Ian Kinsler singled and scored in the first. No balls and a strike. Kinsler with 7 RBIs, a couple of extra base hits. But of his 11 hits this year, 9 of them have been singles. Which just goes back to the point you made earlier in the game. When you stay inside the ball and just work to the opposite field, the singles will pile up.
What's wrong with that? That forces a pitcher to change his pattern to get you out. So that'll get you more pitches on the inside part of the plate where you're apt to make a mistake, and that's when you can hit a big fly or drive the ball or get your doubles. When you prove to them you'll take your singles the other way and use the opposite field, that drives a pitcher nuts. And how many balls have they hit straight back up the middle for base hits, ground balls? Even their big hitters are buying into this program and to the Cabrera swing. Wally Joyner's our hitting coach, but boy, they look good right now.
Kinsler takes a little bit low, 2-1.
I mean, they're spitting on pretty good pitches. That was a good pitch right there. They didn't even offer at. And they're also hitting good pitches, just like Davis did on the pitch before, or the at-bat before.
Takes off, does Davis, and Kinsler fouls it out of play. He's trying to shoot it over there to the right side.
You know, they're playing aggressively. They have a early lead, as they have had all year long. So now what happens? You get into a hitter's count of 2-1. Davis is a base stealer. He can take off. That's not a hit and run right there. That's Davis wanting to run because it's a good count to run on. And that's where Kinsler wants to take a swing because he liked the pitch.
2-2. Runner goes. Pitch is low. Throw down off the mark. And a steal for Davis. His second of the game.
Good jump. He didn't hesitate. He just takes off. And that forces Perez. You know, you get back there and you get some guys that are putting pressure on you. You rush your throws a little bit. Once you see they get good jumps. Yeah, you have to keep him close. Left-hander with a guy on second base. That's why we've already seen 2 stolen bases, a third today. Bourne did it against Lobstein, and, of course, they did it back in the first inning.
Down low, and Kinsler draws a walk. Back in the first inning, first 2 reached. Miguel Cabrera was the next man up, and he launched one out of here.
Looked like a changeup out over the plate that he hits a mile.
Next man up, Victor Martinez. It's an 0-2 count. And after he got hit with a 2-strike pitch, warnings are issued.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bad decision on his part. As far as warning a guy an 0-2 pitch, he didn't do it on purpose. In the first inning of a game where somebody's been, I mean, they only had 32 hits the first 2 days and nobody's been hit. You think, I mean, come on. Yeah, he doesn't want anything to do with anybody. He just walked out there because he had to. It was nobody said a word or even looked at him.
Miguel Cabrera will bat here with 2 on, nobody out, just like he did in the, or 1 out. Iglesias grounded out to start the inning. And a strike called. Cabrera has only had 4 at-bats in the series in which he has been at the plate with nobody on base.
Yes, he did.
On the appeal, C.B. Buckner said he didn't go around. Boy, did he catch a break there.
No, it looked like he held up.
Yeah, actually it did.
It sure did. This guy's so good. I mean, if he doesn't swing, he... Usually he's the one that asks the umpire for help. Remember last year he was doing that a lot when we see him on check swings? He'd point at the umpire to check.
1-1. Cuts and misses, down and in.
I think a little breaking ball down, back part of the strike zone. It was down low enough. You got Cabrera to chase after it.
He's already 4 for 5 in the series when he's had a runner in scoring position. And the 1-2. Grounded in the hole, in a left field. Davis around third. He's going to try to score. Here's the throw. It's cut off. Throw back to second. Kinsler, very close. They almost had him at second base. And instead, Cabrera has his third RBI in the game. And the Tigers' lead is 4-1.
Well, going up there, and when you're having a tough time pitching Cabrera inside, they're staying with a lot of off-speed pitches. There he gets the swing, stays soft again, but this guy's so strong he finds the hole. He can't believe it. Base hit to left field, another RBI, keeps the rally going. It's now 4-1, and again they respond, which they've done all series long.
TJ House is already at 55 pitches with one out in the second inning, and Austin Adams is up getting loose for Cleveland. Victor Martinez was hit by that pitch on an 0-2 count in the first. Inside for ball one. Two balls, no strikes.
See, this is where you got to make the hitter stay in the box.
Well,
they're letting him get out of the batter's box.
He's going to hear about it eventually once he gets
the letter. Once the month of April is gone.
Once he gets the letter.
I mean, you got a pitcher that's staying on the mound as an umpire. You've got to tell him to get back in the box. He's the one that's taking all the time. And he's taking two balls. There's three. Now watch, he'll get out and fix the gloves.
Yeah, it's not the I don't think it's the umpire's call here early on, though.
Yeah, they can tell him, let's go. Get in the box. They certainly can. They're letting it slide for the month of April.
Two on, one out, 3-0 pitch. Ball four, and the bases are loaded. The batter will be J.D. Martinez.
Boy, if I'm a scout, I'd hate to have an advanced scout. I'd hate to have to turn in the report. Whoever's facing it, which is Pittsburgh, the Tigers next on how they go about to try and get him out, because they've taken walks. They've hit the ball all over the ballpark.
Low ball one. Ian Kinsler is at third, Miguel Cabrera at second, Victor Martinez at first. Infield double play depth and a pitch down and in, 2-0. And Roberto Perez going out.
You know, in that first inning, he settled down after he hit Victor Martinez. He ended up settling down and finding his zone, and then he comes back out again this inning, and he's having a tough time finding the inside part of that zone when he goes in there. He's the kind of guy that has to throw strikes. Can't pitch from behind. He's had 4 2-0 counts today so far.
Two-0 pitch. Pitch was called inside. And hammered to left center. That'll score Kinsler. Cabrera will come around to score. Victor Martinez, running gingerly, stops at second. J.D. Martinez drives in a pair. And it's 6-0 Tigers. Or 6-1 Tigers.
3-0 count. You know he's got to come in with something good. Martinez waiting for. He said he's not spotting him nothing. He's looking for the fastball. There it is. Line drive to left center field. And guess what? House's afternoon is over.
Well, remember what we talked about earlier in terms of worst-case scenarios. This is close to being it. An inning and a third is all T.J. House lasts today. The Tigers have jumped on him early. They lead by 5. Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen is for Austin Adams. Just called up today. He was with the club earlier in Houston, and he's going to be the first man into the fire today when we come back. Chevrolet. Well, it's not pretty here at Progressive Field today. Detroit with 3 in the first, 3 more here in the second. And they lead it 6-1. And now Austin Adams will get the call to face Yoenis Cespedes with 2 on and 1 out. Cespedes went too far, says home plate umpire Dan Isani. He threw his bat down and threw his hands in the air. Talk about showing up an umpire. Watch this.
Well, he checked it. He had it in one hand, and then when he called the strike, he sort of, I can't believe it. He dropped the bat.
High pop. Avilas, the shortstop, on the outfield grass. Infield fly rule. 2 down. Nick Castellanos out on strikes, his first time up. Bats with 2 on 2 out here in the second. Timeout was called, I believe, by Roberto Perez. Swung on and missed. Castellanos right over the top of it. Good off-speed pitch by Austin Adams.
Yeah, they look like they're geared number one fastball, and he started out with a couple of breaking balls to start the hitters off to get strikes, to get ahead of them.
Out of play on the fastball. Everybody always commenting that Austin Adams has a terrific fastball.
Yeah, that's not, that one was at 96. He has a great fastball. It's all a matter of locating, but secondary pitches have to come into play as well.
Got to have something to take him off. Deep right field. Back is Moss. And he'll make the catch. So Austin Adams retires the two batters he faces here in the second, but the Tigers are all over the Indians 6-1. Now for our AT&T U-verse Rewind. And before the ball game today, Michael Brantley, who's been suffering back tightness, lower back tightness, out of the lineup, and Yan Gomes, who was placed on the 15-day DL. But both received their Silver Slugger awards before the ball game today for their outstanding accomplishments a season ago. But it just further illustrates how early on, this is game 6, but the team has been hit hard by the injury bug already.
And what do we talk about when we leave spring training? Let's go and just make sure everyone's healthy when you leave. Yeah. Well, you know what? It seemed like they were, but five games into the season, that doesn't hold true.
Doesn't take long. Brandon Moss leans back for ball one. Pitches outside, and Moss into a good spot here. 3-0 as the Indians need some base runners to climb their way back into it. Ball 4. And the Tribe gets their leadoff man aboard.
Well, live Indians baseball is back this year with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Ryan Rayburn taking all the way. It's in there for a strike. Rayburn 0 for 4 in the series with an RBI. Came on a sac fly. Off the plate. Cuts and misses on a ball that just bore in right on his thumbs. That's down low. Count back to even at 2-2.
I'd like to send along a happy birthday wish to Margaret Kesman of Cleveland, who is turning 90 this afternoon. Margaret, happy birthday.
Rayburn just did get a piece of that stay alive. Now 2-2. Down and in, full count. Hit hard and a diving stop by Castellanos at third. Goes to second for the force. One away. Really a nice play by Castellanos over there at third base.
Sure was.
Much to the absolute dismay of Ryan Rayburn, who thought he had a base hit.
Absolutely. I thought it was by him, but you can see the big guy took a step, and he's a tall dude. Dives and catches it cleanly and just gets a force out. You see Kinsler wasn't going to try and do anything. Points over, says, nice play. They get an out. Just what you're looking for. Good play.
And now Lonnie Chisenhall with 1 on, 1 out. Chisenhall with a base hit into right field. And Rayburn stops at second. So the Indians have 2 on with 1 out here in the second inning.
Lonnie takes a nice swing on this baseball and pulls it in the hole. Gets a fastball out over the plate that he is able to turn on. It's the third hit for the Indians, the first time through. Perez's opportunity. The Indians are taking some good swings off Lobstein.
And Roberto Perez takes a called strike. No balls, 2 strikes. Perez 2 for 4 in his only game action at the plate down in Houston with a home run. That's outside. A ball and 2 strikes. Down in Houston, Perez with that base hit to right field. Remember the great slide by Yan Gomes. And then a solo homer later in the ballgame.
Well, long drive in that ballpark.
Broke his bat left field. Cespedes. Easy catch, 2 down. Top of the order, Michael Bourne.
Bourne had a single in his first at bat, stole a base, picked on a fastball.
That gave Bourne his first hit on the year against the left-handed pitcher. And it's outside for ball 1. Well, down to Andre. This is it's a tough stretch of left-handers for this club.
It really is. And talking to Michael Bourne, though, before the game, he says, look, there's no shadows today, and Price isn't on the mound. He goes, I'll take my chances against Lobstein. He said he couldn't see anything in the middle innings yesterday.
Yeah, it has been stuff. The 4 o'clock starts here, and we talked about it. It hasn't seemed to bother the Tigers at all, though. That's the one thing. It is still tough to see. But both teams have to go through it, and it's a tough battle when you can't pick up the spin.
.20 pitch. The way Detroit's been swinging the bats, they get hit in the dark right now.
Yeah. And it's been impressive. They're off to a tremendous start. Not only offensively, their pitching has been tremendous. They're number 1 in the league in pitching. I know it's 5 games, but they came out of the gates sprinting.
Bourne draws a walk, and the Indians try to climb their way back in it here. Bases loaded with 2 outs. Couple of walks and a single in the inning have set it up for the try.
Well, that's the last thing you want to see. You're the pitching coach, Jeff Jones, to go out there. Hey, you got to throw strikes. You've got a 6-1 lead. Make these guys swing the bats, especially when you walk the left-handers. You walk Moss and Bourne in this inning. Chisenhall, the lefty, got a base hit. He retired the right-handers.
Mike Aviles hit a comebacker in the first that probably should have been a double play. But Lobstein dropped the ball, and that enabled Bourne to reach second base safely. He stole third and then scored on the Carlos Santana 2-out RBI hit. Now he's got a chance to do some damage with the bases loaded and 2 down.
Well, that's how they scored in the first. A Santana 2-out single got him on the board. You get those 2-out base hits, they lift you. They make you feel good as an offense. The Indians need it. Take a single.
Up and away, 2-0.
You know, you get yourself in the good hitters count. Just don't try and do too much. Base hit will score 2 here. Chisenhall on second base. He's concentrating on getting a good jump.
A strike called.
It's
2-1. I'm not sure Aviles thought it was.
Well, it was, but it was, you know what? It's not a good pitch to hit when you're ahead in the count 2-0. So Mike wasn't going to help him out. That's low. Looked a little low. He wasn't going to swing at it.
Three balls and a strike.
That to me looked like, well, that's what I thought. I was just going to say. The same pitch. One's a strike, one's a ball. You got to be consistent.
Action in the Tigers bullpen. Angel Nesbitt getting loose. Right now, the Tribe trying to get back in it right here, and a ground ball smothered by Castellanos. He's going to first, and he makes the play. Boy, Castellanos with a couple of terrific plays here in the inning to keep the Indians at bay.
MVP's Kids Club is designed for Tribe fans between the ages of 6 and 14. MVPs take part in exclusive events and receive cool gear to add to their collection. Go to Indians.com.
Two innings complete, and the Tigers have a 6-1 lead. Austin Adams got the final 2 outs of the second inning, stays on to pitch here in the third. And a ground ball to third baseman Lonnie Chisenhall guns it over, 1 away. Adams has made 6 pitches and has recorded 3 outs.
Yeah, considering the first 2 innings by both pitchers, 116 pitches thrown in this game early.
Jose Iglesias grounded out his first time up. Liner to second, right at Kipnis. 2 away. Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. One through 5 today for the Tigers. A plethora of offense.
Well, the first 3 guys scored all 6 runs. They score early and they score often.
Davis has walked, singled, stolen 2 bases, and scored 2 runs. That's back into the crowd. Look out below again.
Didn't he do that in his first at bat? Wasn't it him that rifled one back there?
Was,
Cabrera.
yeah.
Him or Cabrera.
Davis able to hold up. And it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count with 2 down
here in the third. Adams has retired 4 in a row, trying to make it a 1-2-3. Third inning. Out of play. Brad Ausmus has been able to just sit back and watch his team dominate here in the early going. They swept the Twins and allowed 1 run in the series, and it was an unearned run. Here in this series, it's been their offense that has been on display. Full count. Payoff pitch. And it's ball 4. So Davis has been on safely all 3 times today. Ian Kinsler has singled, walked, stolen a base, and scored 2 runs, and he steps in now. 7 out of 12 in the series.
Yeah, Kinsler's the guy that has really impressed me with his approach so far this year early. He used to be up there, and I mean, he'd look for the first fastball he could get and try and turn on it. You couldn't throw it by him. And now he's wearing right field out, and I mean, he's staying on it, hitting it. He's not flaring it that way like he has because he would pull off before. And all these hitters are staying on the baseball.
Chop towards the shortstop, Aviles. He'll flip it to Kipnis to end the inning. Middle of the third. Tigers 6, Indians 1. Reminder as you enjoy a cold one to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Bottom of the third, and the Indians will send Kipnis, Santana, and Jerry Sands to the plate. Light breeze blowing in off the lake today. Going to knock the ball down, hit to center, right center. Up and in for ball one.
I think it was a good thing on opening day with the way that wind was blowing that it wasn't coming in this direction, because the fans would have been really chilly.
Yeah. 1-0 pitch. Lobstein has hit the 50 pitch mark, as you see on your screen. How about this? 25 strikes, 25 balls. He's walked 2 and struck out 1. And that was Kipnis, who went down on a 3-2 pitch in the first inning. And he's punched out here, 1 down. Time for a Mazda game break. Here's Al Pulaski.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Rick. The baseball flying out of the yard at Camden Yards today. 3rd home run of the game in just the 2nd inning. Kevin Pillar, his first of the season, puts Toronto ahead 3-2. They've just moved to the 3rd inning. 3-2 Blue Jays over the O's in Baltimore. Matt?
All right, thanks, Al. Down and in. Detroit and Atlanta, the only unbeatens left in baseball. Santana socks one to left, down the line. That'll head to the wall. He's going to take a big turn and slam on the brakes.
Oh boy, and rightfully so.
Cespedes has a terrific arm, and he played the carom very well. Well, Jerry Sands had a big day yesterday. That 2-out, 2-run double put the Indians ahead in the game 3-2. And this 2-run double later in the ballgame tied it up at 5 apiece.
A couple of very big hits. Brought them back, but they just couldn't hold the offense of the Tigers.
Here's a drive to right field. Back goes J.D. Martinez, and he'll make the catch just shy of the track for out number 2. You know, the crowd was really into it yesterday for Sands, and he definitely appreciated that.
Started in A-ball, actually. They started doing it a little bit, and then I got it in Dodger Stadium as well. So it's fun. It gets the fans going, obviously. Sometimes they start to cheer, and it's not that it's not warranted, but sometimes I do something special or not special, regardless, and they just start it. So, but it's always fun for them to get into the game, and obviously, chant's always fun.
Brandon Moss steps in. He walked his first time up. He hits one deep down the right field line. Martinez won't get this one. It's a fair ball inside the line. Rattles around in the corner. Santana's going to stop at third. And the Indians have 2 in scoring position with 2 down here in inning number 3.
The ball must have been off the end of the bat because it had wasn't hit all that hard. He got under it, and you can see the spin on it once it hit. Goes into the corner, but played nicely by J.D. Martinez to hold Santana at third, even though there are 2 outs. So now the Indians with second and third. 2 gone. That's the 5th hit, first extra base hit of the day.
Ryan Rayburn robbed of a hit his first time up on a nice play at third by Nick Castellanos. Takes outside, ball 1. That'll even the count. Rayburn trying to take a page from the Tigers playbook and deliver with the 2-out RBI hit, much like Carlos Santana did in the first inning.
You could cut that lead in half with a base hit here.
Count even at 2-2. He deals. Rayburn takes inside, full count. Left-handed hitting Lonnie Chisenhall in the on-deck circle.
Yeah, Detroit, their bullpen warm. Brad Osmus not going to take any chances.
Line drive up the middle. It's by Kinsler. 2 runs will score as Ryan Rayburn delivers with the 2-out, 2-run single to center. And it does indeed cut the Tigers' lead in half at 6-3. Rayburn's first hit on the season, and it couldn't have come at a better time.
Well, Ryan realized he just went inside and he missed on the 2-2 pitch. I think he was pretty darn sure he wasn't coming back in there again on a 3-2 pitch. So he stayed on the ball and he went right back. See how he jammed? He sort of jammed himself to go stay on it. Gets it by a diving Ian Kinsler into center field. That scores 2, so it's now a 6-3 ball game.
And here is Lonnie Chisenhall, who singled sharply to right field his first time up. Takes outside. It's 1-0. Way outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Rayburn draws a throw with Cabrera a couple of feet in front of first base.
Well, Rayburn's on first base. He's not going anywhere. You wonder why they even waste time throwing over there.
The 2-0. Up and in, 3 balls, no strikes. Brad Osmus might be just about out of patience here if he doesn't.
Well, I can see why, because the Indians have had opportunities every inning.
Just did catch the outside corner. And it's 3-1.
And that was borderline, if you take a look at it. 3-0 count. He's all over the place. How do you help him out?
Sure, TJ House would like to know the answer to that. Right at Kinsler. Bobbles it, recovers, and still throws him out. Indians get 2 back. They cut the lead in half. It's now 6-3 after 3.
Just $10 for kids 12 and under with the purchase of an adult ticket. Kids are located in the new family deck here at Progressive Field. Log on to Indians.com.
Miguel Cabrera will lead off the fourth for Detroit. He had a 2-run homer in the first and an RBI single in the second. Here's a high fly ball deep down the left field line. If it's fair, it's gone. Goodbye. My goodness. That is his 10th hit in the series. His second home run today, and he's driven in 4 runs for Detroit.
Well, I will say this. They started him off with a changeup. They tried to come back with the second one. They just gave him a good look at it. You can't throw him the same pitch twice, and I think they tried to do it. And this one had a little more of the plate than the first one. They just threw him the changeup, and this one comes middle in. So he hadn't had an opportunity to see his fastball yet. At least take him off that changeup. You can't throw him the same pitch twice in a row. So he scored 3 times. He's 3 for 3. Perfect day. 4 ribbies. A couple of homers.
Victor Martinez at the plate has been hit by a pitch, and he has walked. Whoa, what a stop by Aviles. Picks a one-hop smash and throws out Martinez. 1 away.
Well, this ball was scorched. You can see Aviles over on the right side of the diamond, and that's a tough hop, an in-between hop that he flags down. And able to retire Victor easily, but that ball was hit right on the nose.
Well, J.D. Martinez 2 for 2. Couple of singles, couple of runs driven in. Austin Adams has made 23 pitches, 17 strikes. He's been aggressive. That ball's in the dirt on the off-speed pitch. He went too far, says home plate umpire Dan Isanya. First strikeout for Adams, 2 down here in the fourth. Our great clip of the game from yesterday. Corey Kluber had a rough first inning, but Ricky really settled down and pitched well. Made some nice adjustments throughout the game.
But that he did. He started pitching in a little bit more. He moved it around. He ended up striking out 10, but, they got him early. But he made adjustments. After going 6 1/3, they had an opportunity. He came out. He had a chance to win that ball game yesterday.
Gave up 2 runs in 6 1/3, and the Tigers ended up scoring 9. Bounce to third, and Lonnie Chisenhall will throw him out. Miguel Cabrera tacks another one on for the Tigers. His second home run of the day as Detroit in front 7-3. T-Mobile game changer. Goes back to that stat I gave you earlier about Jerry Sands. Most RBI in an Indians debut. A very short list of guys that have been able to pull that one off. Roberto Perez takes a strike. Fly to left, his only time up. That's outside. And the count is 2-1.
I would have to think if they could get a couple of guys aboard this inning and keep the pressure on, they could run him out of here and get into the bullpen.
To short. And Iglesias will throw him out. One down.
Catch a game at the new two-story bar with our $13 district ticket, which is presented by Sports Time Ohio. The new bar is the best place in town to grab a cold one, and with the district ticket, your first drink is on us. Visit Indians.com and check out the details.
Michael Bourne has singled, walked, stolen a base, and scored a run today. And a slow breaking ball in for a strike. Lobstein gets ahead of Bourne 1-2. And he waves at a breaking ball. Third strikeout for the Detroit left-hander. 2 down in the inning, and now he has a chance to retire the side in order for the first time today. Aviles was at the plate in the second inning with the bases loaded and 2 down, and looked like maybe he had a chance to poke one through the left side of the infield, but a diving stop by third baseman Nick Castellanos short-circuited a potential run-scoring hit for Aviles.
Made a couple of decent plays in that inning. You see how deep he's playing, though. That one to get end the inning. Made a nicer play than that earlier in the inning.
Smash to center. Davis makes the grab. Indians go 1-2-3 for the first time today. 7-3 Tigers after 4. Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. Well, it's all Detroit to this point. 7-3, the Tigers lead it. And here in the 5th inning, bottom third of the Detroit lineup due. Austin Adams has already pitched 2 2/3 innings of relief. He's given up 1 run. And he stays in here to start the 5th inning.
Yeah, you would think he'd be maxed out after this, being a closer or a short guy down in the minor leagues.
Breaking ball and a swing and a miss. Fastball just missed outside, and Adams thought he had a strikeout. 97 miles an hour with that fastball.
That was a good pitch right there.
And that breaking ball got a big chunk of Roberto Perez. Thank goodness for chest protectors. The ball and 2 strikes. Hey, one thing, Rick, for as much as Adams has had to throw here, his stuff hasn't dipped at all. He's still got great velocity.
Yeah, he's at 32 pitches right now. He's really done a nice job.
That breaking ball, again, he thought he had him rung up. Again, he does not get the call.
Well, he's not missed by much if he's missing. The breaking ball, give him that fastball you want as a pitcher.
Left field, back goes Jerry Sands. Short hops the fence. Nice bare hand grab, but his throw will not get there in time as Castellanos has a leadoff double.
come back and you've got to put that slider on the plate, and that one stayed up a little bit, and Castellanos takes advantage of it. And Tito knows he's exposed him. He's out there a little too long. He's got to go get him, but he had to stretch him out a little bit, the way that bullpen situation is, and gets a pat on the back. Decent job. Let's go. Way to go. So he's got to go to the bullpen again.
Sean Markham is going to get the call in. 7-3 Detroit. Tigers with a 7-3 lead. Their leadoff man aboard here in the 5th. And Sean Markham into the ball game now, and it's been a long road back for Markham. He last pitched in the big leagues back in 2013. He had that thoracic outlet syndrome surgery. Last year, he only pitched in 9 games.
Yeah, and that's got to be tough when you miss that much time to come back and be ready to go. But the way the bullpen was used in the first couple of games, they had to bring him up, and
Perez with a great recovery, and they throw him out of third.
boy, that helps. See a little breaking ball in the dirt, and Perez did a nice job, and he kept it right in front of him, but he picked it up nicely. And in plenty of time, just a nice, easy throw. Castellanos thought that ball was going to get away. If it hits the ground, he's right. But Perez got it before it did.
McCann lays off its low. 3 balls, no strikes. Markham had a couple of back-to-back solid years in Toronto and Milwaukee. 13 wins in 2010 and in 11 with ERA at 3.64, 3.54. Popped him up on a 3-1 pitch. Kipnis. And a second baseman squeezes it. 2 down. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Miguel Cabrera, third batter of the game, made it 3-0 with a 2-run homer. And then J.D. Martinez with a 2-run single in the second made it 6-1 Tigers. Ryan Rayburn trying to get the Indians back in it with a 2-run single. Made it 6-3, but then since then Miguel Cabrera came back with a solo homer for the Tigers. Jose Iglesias is 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Popped him up. Right side of the infield. This time it's Santana. He'll make the catch. Well done by Sean Markham. Middle of the fifth, 7-3 Detroit. (7-3) Detroit in front. Bottom of the fifth inning. Jason Kipnis, Carlos Santana, and Jerry Sands due up for the Tribe. Kipnis is 0 for 2. He has struck out twice today. Down swinging in the first, out looking in the third. Swing and a miss. Lobstein, the Tiger starter, was struggling a little bit in that third inning. I think it was a real good chance he might not make it through that frame.
He was teetering. You're right. Right on the verge.
Kipnis smacks it right off the mound, and it caroms into center field. Got his first hit today, fourth hit in the series, and the Tribe gets their leadoff man aboard for that's the fourth time in 5 innings.
Yeah, and they did him a favor right there. Threw him a nice, slow breaking ball that he hits the curveball. Check it out on our Nissan pitch tracker. Stayed middle in. Easy pitch for Kipnis to handle. Just go right back up the middle.
Third time in 5 innings they've had the leadoff man aboard. Santana perfect 2 for 2. An RBI single in the first. He singled and scored in the third. Detroit bullpen. Action once again. It's Nesbitt. Hit hard and look out. In the first inning, Santana pulled a single through the left side of the infield to drive in a run. Then in the third, it looked like maybe he had a double. But Cespedes made a nice play on the carom off the wall to hold him to a long single. Way outside. It's 2-1. Strike is called. Throw to first, not in time. It's 2-2 now for Carlos. McCann getting the start today. Alex Avila getting a day off. There's Alex Avila, the left-handed hitting catcher. Kipnis takes off, and Santana pops it up. That's the shortstop, Iglesias. One away. Well, Andre Knott is out and about checking out some of the new haunts here at Progressive Field.
Well, Matt, I found one of your buddies up here in the corner, and we've been talking about some of the new things going on here at Progressive Field. And we all know everybody likes a little different types of beers. Well, now you can tap out and you can pour your own different types of beers here in Progressive Field. Now, as we give this back to you, I'm going to stay up here with Slider. We're going to use our own card, try a couple out, and see what's best here in the corner here at Progressive Field.
All right, Andre, we may be joining you shortly.
I already left. But somebody better card Slider. I don't think he's old enough. They should kick him out of there. He's not old enough to be up there, is he? He's got to be in kids' world.
Yeah, well, let's see. What is he? Is he not? Is he 20? He's got to be 20, isn't he?
Yeah, 21. Yeah, he is.
Jerry Sands
than that.
Takes low. Sands has popped up on the infield and fly to right.
Yeah, Slider's old enough.
Popped him up. This is going to get out of play. Well, Terry Francona's club jumped by the Tigers again early today. Now they trail it by 4 here in the home half of the 5th inning. Another throw to first. There's 1-1 pitch, a little check swing roller. Lobstein can't find his footing, and Jerry Sands has an infield single.
Well, he's had a couple of times today where the ball gets hit to him. You may want to even think about bunting on him if he's still out there. Another one of those pitchers that doesn't seem to field his position well. It's an easy play. It was a check swing. When he goes over there, he went to pick it up barehanded, then with the glove hand. And then they say put a fork in it because he can't get it. And that's a matter, I think, trying to rush and get done. Just take your time. You get it. He couldn't do it. It'll go as an infield single. They have first and second. He could be one hitter away.
Brandon Moss doubled down the right field line and scored his last time up. He last time up, he kind of caught it off the end of the bat, but kept it fair down into the right field corner. And that's low, ball one. '90th pitch of the day for Lobstein, and Moss fouls it back out of play. 50 strikes out of the 90 pitches for Kyle Lobstein. Meanwhile, Angel Nesbitt has just about thrown a complete game in the bullpen.
He's been up there. You're right.
Been warming up forever, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. You know, you see how some guys, they just quit throwing and they're stopped, but every time I look out, he's doing something.
Moss chased one down and away, 1-2. Spin move back to second, but Kipnis alertly right there. The 1-2. And same pitch, but Moss says, not going to get me again. 2-2.
One hit here, and I think they're into the bullpen. Cut into that 4-run lead they have, bottom of the 5th inning.
Broke his bat, and it's foul. And the count stays 2 balls, 2 strikes. Moss ready, waits the 2-2. Oh, outside, full count. Ryan Rayburn on deck. This could be the final pitch of the game for Kyle Lobstein. Three-two pitch. And a one-hop smash to first. Cabrera goes to second for one, and that's all they'll get. Lobstein a little late getting over to first base. And Miguel Cabrera not happy about that. 2 down, first and third.
No, and I'll tell you, that's your job as a pitcher. You could be out of the inning if he hustles to get over there. Anytime that ball's hit to that side of the infield, your job is to get over. They had a chance to turn it, but you could see Iglesias says I'm not going to lead him. Just he was a little slow. Little slow getting over there, and a shortstop's not going to make a throw when he has to lead you to the bag because you're not going to get there anyway. He's got to look down to see where he is at. Wisely holds on to the ball. They get the second out, and it's Rayburn again with an opportunity with 2 outs.
Down and in, ball 1. Bounce to third. Castellanos going to go across the diamond. And the inning is over. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left. Through 5, 7-3 Detroit. (7-3) Detroit. And we've talked about this. You know, Rick, the Indians have gone through 12 relief pitchers in the last 2 games. So let's go down to Andre. What is the availability of some of these guys today?
Well, with what we have right now, Trevor Bauer was supposed to throw his side earlier today. He has not thrown it. They're going to wait till after the game. If this game were to get close, he will be in the bullpen late if this game were to get close. Also, Tito did talk to Cody Allen before the game. No word on if he's available after his long outing yesterday as well.
No. Well, with tomorrow off, you'd like not to use him, but you're right. You've got to get close first to make it, and once the adrenaline gets running, I'm sure if you ask Cody, he'll say, yeah, I can give you an inning if need be, but it'll only be if they have the lead.
Well, so far, Austin Adams, 2 2/3. Did a nice job, did give up 1 run. It was on a solo homer. Sean Markham retired back-to-back hitters to end the 5th.
And actually even got the first one. You know, Castellanos with the ball in the dirt.
Mm-hmm. Now back, Davis stays alive. 1
Indians
and 2.
bullpen, 224 pitches in this series to this point. And you still have got the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th to cover.
Good pitch. Breaking ball over the front side corner. Time for another Mazda game break. Here's Al.
Hey, Matt, let's head down to Florida, Miami, where the Rays taking on the Marlins. David DeJesus off to a great start. His first home run of the year. That made it 4-0. It's now 6-2 Rays in the 6th inning. And as far as David DeJesus, he's batting .545, man.
Well, there's a lot of big numbers early in the year. And a lot of them reside in this Tigers lineup.
Yeah. We're seeing all of them right here.
Ian Kinsler hitting .458 at the moment. Miguel Cabrera is batting .500 right behind him. Down low, 1 ball, 1 strike. That was that pitch right there that Kinsler used to be so susceptible to. Slider down and away. Avila stays with the tricky hop, throws him out, 2 down. Here's our Yellowwood bringing the lumber. Boy, Miguel Cabrera has been bringing it all series long. He's got 10 hits in the series, 2 home runs today, 4 runs batted in this ball game.
I'm thinking the 2 home runs he hit today came on changeups. But this is just one of the toughest outs in all of baseball. And he is locked in right now and having some kind of afternoon. 3 for 3, 4 ribbies, 3 runs scored, 2 homers. You know, we talked about it, how he slows things down. He never looks anxious, never looks like he's trying to hit. You can have him down 0-2 and he gets a couple of hits. You throw him 1 pitch and he, take a bad swing on it. You try and do it again and then he rakes it and hits it hard.
He's moving up a list of Hall of Famers.
He may be in the top 5 before this year's over because they come back again and they play very well here. They won 6 straight against the Indians to this point. Cabrera has had 5 consecutive hits going back to yesterday.
Deep to center. Bourne back, looking up. So going to one-hop the fence. Here's the throw to second base, and Cabrera slides in safely with a 2-out double.
Oh, man. How easy does he make it look? He puts a swing on it, and you look at it, and the fielders are just watching it soar over their head. Looked up and saw Michael Bourne, and he just, okay, I'm going to play it off the wall. Looked like a little cutter or maybe a slider down and away. Didn't quite get it away enough and just short hops the wall. Strong man. Hit number 9. Cabrera has 4 of them.
And the Indians are going to just walk Victor Martinez with first base open and 2 down. And go right on right against J.D. Martinez. This will be ball 4. As J.D. Martinez will get the opportunity with 2 down and 2 aboard. And he's singled in each of his first 2 trips to the plate, driving in a couple of runs. So Sean Markham ready to go to work now against J.D. Martinez. Outside corner, a called strike. Good breaking ball and a swing and a miss by J.D. Martinez. It's 0-2. Two-strike pitch. Well, Martinez lays off and just missed outside with another good curveball. Oh, fastball just rung him up. He was He was looking off speed. Crossed him up. Second strikeout for Markham. We'll go to the bottom of the sixth. 7-3 Detroit. Seven-3 Detroit, bottom of the sixth inning. And the Indians will get a look at a new pitcher. Kyle Lobstein's day is over. And the guy's been warming up quite a bit, trying to get into this game. Now he's in there as Angel Nesbitt.
Second time this year. Only pitched a third of an inning. Tommy tells me he's at 110 pitches right now coming in to face his first hitter. He had a lot of work out in that bullpen waiting on Kyle Lobstein. But he got his 5 innings in, and he is gone. 8 hits allowed, 3 runs, a couple of walks, and 3 strikeouts for Lobstein.
Nesbitt delivers, and a fastball in there for strike 1. Nesbitt making the jump from Double-A to the big leagues this year. And that was only after 24 Double-A games last season. 24-year-old, though, makes the big league club for the first time this year. Fires one to the backstop. It's 1-2. Last year, A-ball hitters only batted 189 against him. When he went up to Double-A, they fared even worse. They hit just 177 against him.
Well, if you're a reliever in that Tigers organization, you have a chance to be on the fast track if you put up impressive numbers, especially if they have any kind of injuries. Already Joe Nathan on the disabled list. It was funny because they say Soria is their closer. But then yesterday, in a situation when the Indians got close, they had both Soria and Java Chamberlain up. And then when they took a big lead, they brought Soria in and sat Chamberlain down, which tells me that, Chamberlain would have been in if it was close.
Lonnie gets drilled with a 3-2 pitch. And here comes Terry Francona to say, hey, wait a minute. You issued a warning, didn't you?
No, he's going to check on Chisenhall.
Make sure he's okay.
But I guarantee he gets a little word to the wise on his way back to the guy in blue. Yeah, he's going to have his say. He wanted to go out and check on Lonnie, but I think the point being taken.
Well, here comes Brad Ausmus in the meantime. Ausmus looks like he's going to make a pitching change.
He is?
No. Although I don't think anybody's up, are they?
I don't see anybody, but if he makes a pitching change after one hitter, why even bring him in? But that was, I guarantee Terry had to have his say with the umpire. See what happens when you make that warning in the first inning when nobody's trying to hit any. He just threw that ball down, and then it got Chisenhall right on above the ankle. Is what he did. Obviously, he's not trying. 3-2 pitch. He wants an out. Love to hear what Terry had to say to him on the way. He was going out to look at Chisenhall, but then he had a little pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of these. Well, wink, wink.
7-3 ball game. Roberto Perez, the batter, 0 for 2 on the day. He was showing bunt with everybody back. And the pitch is outside ball 1.
Well, on that 3-2 pitch where you hit somebody, not a bad idea just to take it. See if he can get it in the zone. You need base runners. You're down 4 runs here, middle part of the game. Take a strike. As you mentioned, not a whole lot of action in Double-A. Now you're up in the big leagues and a lot more pressure up here. There
Outside,
you go.
3-0.
Don't swing the bat.
There's a strike called. Down 4, he might very well be taking another.
Well, you could, but at least you got to look at 4 pitches, where his arm slot is, and exactly how hard his fastball is just by taking a look.
Good pitch, outside edge.
Okay. Now he's settled in. Back-to-back strikes. I don't see him throwing anything else but another fastball here.
Blaine Hardy just getting up to start throwing. Perez clobbers one to center. Back goes Davis, and he'll make the catch.
Yeah, good at bat. Did exactly. He hit it right on the nose, but it was right into the tracks of the center fielder.
We'll wrap up the Masters tonight inside the Golf Zone with Jimmy Hanlon. He'll bring you all the highlights from Augusta and talk about today's action. The Golf Zone tees off at 8 o'clock tonight on Sports Time Ohio. 1 on, 1 out, Michael Bourne is the batter. He singled and scored in the first, walked in the second, struck out in the fourth. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Pulled the string right there. 88-mile-an-hour changeup. It was all fastballs, but that's may slow him down a little bit. That's good for the McCann behind the plate to work him into some of his off-speed pitches.
Jumps ahead 1-2. That's down in the dirt. Borney back to even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Indians picked up a run on the first on a 2-out RBI single by Carlos Santana. Their 2 runs in the third came on a 2-out 2-run single by Ryan Rayburn. Full count. The Tigers jumped on TJ House right out of the chute. 3 runs in the first, 3 more in the second. Their only other run came on a Miguel Cabrera solo homer in the fourth. He's driven in 4 of the 7 for the Tigers today. 3-2, swing and a miss. He strikes him out. 2 down. That's going to bring up Mike Aviles. Way outside, ball 1. Aviles 0 for 3 here today. 1 out of 9 in the series. Right at the second baseman, Kinsler. And the side is retired. 6 complete, still 7-3 Tigers. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable. Tribe down 4 as we head to the 7th inning. Yoenis Cespedes, Nick Castellanos, and James McCann due up for the Tigers. Cespedes 0 for 3. He has struck out, popped up, grounded out. Bounce to third. Lonnie Chisenhall stays right with it. One away. Today's Levin player profile is on former Indian Gold Glove shortstop Omar Vizquel, now the first base coach for Detroit. Came over from the Mariners in the deal for Felix Fermin and Reggie Jefferson. 11 times a Gold Glover.
Well, he's the best I've seen playing that position, without a doubt.
Castellanos sends one high in the air. Center fielder Michael Bourne onto the track, 2 down. I don't think there can be any doubt as to whether or not he's a Hall of Famer, is there?
I don't know. You talk to people nowadays, who knows? I don't think so after his career. And when you look at it and you put him up there with shortstops, Ozzie Smith, obviously a Hall of Famer. Omar had better offensive numbers than Ozzie Smith and an 11-time Gold Glover. So I don't see why he shouldn't be there.
The only thing that's kind of odd when you look at as great a player as he was and for as many years as he played, only 3 times an all-star selection. That speaks more to the star power that was at the position when he was in the game.
Well, Jeter was there for that whole time.
Cal Ripken, early in his
Garcia
career.
Parra, there was a lot of people there at that time. Alex Rodriguez started as a shortstop.
In the air, right center. Moss, the right fielder, makes the catch. Tigers are retired in order for the first time today. We've reached the 7th inning stretch. 7-3 Detroit. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. 7-3 Detroit going to the bottom of the 7th inning, and as we promised you earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Two out RBI hits today for the Tribe, couple of them.
That's something that Detroit has feasted on, but it was nice to see the Tribe get rolling. Santana started. Rayburn had a 2-out, 2 RBI single. That's where we stand now, 7-3. Those are hits that get offenses rolling and get them a little confidence. It takes pressure off everybody else in the lineup when you can get a big 2-out base hit.
Going to ring up Jason Kipnis here in the home half of the 7th inning. Kipnis 1 for 3 and 4 out of 12 in the series. Angel Nesbitt worked a scoreless 6th. And a foul tip by Kipnis to start the at-bat. Quickly 0-2 the count. Bounce towards second base, and Ian Kinsler scoops it up, throws him out. 1 away. Time for another Mazda game break. Here's Al.
Hey, Matt, in Chicago today, the White Sox trying to win the series against the Twins, and they got some help right here from Adam LaRoche, his 2nd home run of the season. Chicago in the lead now 3-1 as they've moved into the bottom of the 5th inning in Chi-Town. Matt?
Get a look at those White Sox on Tuesday night. After an off day tomorrow, they'll come in for a quick 2-game series, and I do mean quick, 7 o'clock and 12 o'clock game.
Carlos Santana takes low ball 1. Santana flexing his back a little bit after that big swing came up empty.
Coming right back, I'll tell you, he slowed it down when he started using that changeup. He's become very tough. He's throwing about 93. That changeup's 86, right around there, 85, 86, 87.
Well, for a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience, he's been impressive here.
Well, you know what he's done? He's kept the ball down. When he misses, he's missing down at below the knees.
Strikes out Santana, 2 away.
That was the fastball away, and you got Santana maybe try and pull off it a little bit on the edge. It was on the outside edge, though. Good location.
Jerry Sands 1 out of 3 today. His hit came in the 5th. Well, check swing roller up the third baseline. Now Nesbitt ready. And a good fastball in the outside corner. Iglesias bobbled it, but still had time to retire Sands, and the Indians Go 1-2-3. We head to the 8th. 7-3 Tigers. By authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
Guarantee some of our most exciting promotional items this season by purchasing a promo pass for an additional $5. Promo passes ensure fans get a promotional item no matter what time they arrive at the ballpark. Just go to Indians.com for the information.
Strike over the outside corner called on Jose Iglesias, who is 0 for 3 in the game. Bunted foul over to the on-deck circle. And Iglesias lines a single into left field. So Detroit gets their leadoff man aboard here in the 8th. And our in-game box score today brought to you by Hyundai. Miguel Cabrera with a 4 for 4 performance. J.D. Martinez with a couple of knocks. Rajai Davis, 2 walks, a single, 2 runs scored. A couple of stolen bases as well.
Yeah, he set the table early. He had a couple of runs scored in the first 2 innings, as did Kinsler and Cabrera, with the back-to-back 3-run innings they put on.
Double play ball to short. Aviles to Kipnis. There's one on the first. They turn 2. Sean Markham's done a nice job. 3 2/3 innings of scoreless relief. He's given up just 2 hits. Low ball 1. Tigers looking to run their record to a perfect 6-0. The only other unbeaten team in baseball, the Atlanta Braves, they trail New York 4-3. Braves batting against the Mets in the bottom of the 8th in Atlanta. High pop foul, and that's going to get out of play on the right side. The 2-1.
It's one of the first swings I've seen him take like that all series long. You know, that was like a last year swing where he was, he's trying to more or less turn on the baseball. Check it out on our Wendy's slow motion cam where he takes the big cut.
Front leg opening up. Yeah.
I mean, you haven't seen many like that from him this whole series. He's been locked in and had a really nice approach. Not that you go ahead when you get the count like that, and you go ahead and take your chances to hit a big fly. Because he certainly has power.
2-out walk keeps the inning alive for Miguel Cabrera.
Well, I don't know if I'd want to walk anybody in front of this guy.
Well, for Miguel Cabrera, he has picked up 11 hits in the series. Last time it happened in the majors was Nori Aoki, who did it last year against Chicago. Last Tiger to do it was Marty McManus in 1929.
Wow.
And it hasn't happened against the Indians since at least 1914, which is as far back as they can go.
Well, when you think about it, 11 hits in a series is pretty good. 4 hits, 3 hits. He has an opportunity here now for his 5th.
And he's been able to bat with traffic. 6 for 9 with runners on base in the series in his 14 at-bats.
Well, no, look at this. They're just going to walk him. How about that? They're not even going to pitch to him. Walk him with 2 outs, man on first base, and you're going to face Victor Martinez. Not that it's going to get any easier. But maybe you figure his back leg is sore after that swing yesterday from the left side.
Thinking back to when Barry Bonds was in his heyday.
They walked him with the bases loaded.
Yeah. Don't see this very often. But it just speaks to where.
Well, if you've watched the series, you know what? At least you know where he's going to be. He's been on first all series long. Why not put him there again? Only don't let him do any damage. That's what you call respect.
That's going to bring up Victor Martinez. Has a couple of walks, one intentional, and he's been hit by a pitch. Bounced it in front of Roberto Perez, who pounced on it quickly, and Kinsler holds at second. Sean Markham trying to complete his 4th inning of relief work, just over 50 pitches. Evens it up at 1-1. You know, you were talking earlier about the batter's box rules. Martinez stepping out here, and that's something that they're, you know, you saw Dan Asania wave him into the box. He'll get a letter because Clay Buchholz has already received a letter from MLB, and he's an American League pitcher, but they played in Philadelphia, and he was stepping out of the box. He got a letter saying, you know, get in the box or you're going to be fined.
Well, how are we going to find out on that?
May is when they start handing out the fines.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get through April as a trial month.
Swing and a miss.
It's like watching cable. We're going to give you a free month of it, and then next month we're charging you.
That's what it is.
So what channels you want, pal?
Two on, two out, 2-2 pitch. Had him reaching for it. And Kipnis will flip it to first to end the inning. Really solid performance by Sean Markham coming out of the bullpen with 4 scoreless innings of relief. Well, Sean Markham, nice job for the Indians today. I mean, it's a bullpen. It's been used a lot here in this series, and he came on and went 4 scoreless.
Yeah, he did a tremendous job. Just exactly what Terry needed out of that bullpen. Go out there and give him 4 innings, and he hadn't pitched yet since spring training, so it has been a remarkable job. Got a double play ball out there. Only giving up a couple of hits.
Bottom of the 8th, Blaine Hardy, left-hander coming on. Infield shift on for Brandon Moss. Moss 1 for 2. He walked in the second, doubled and scored in the third. A little bit outside. Moss able to lay off. That's 2-1. Cuts and misses. 2-2. Up and away, full count. And a leadoff walk here in the bottom of the 8th. Indians down 4, need some base runners. Moss is aboard with Ryan Rayburn coming up. Wednesday, an epic international showdown when the United States men's national team takes on Mexico at the sold-out Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Coverage begins Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Ryan Rayburn takes a strike. Drove in a pair back in the 3rd last time the Indians were on the scoreboard today. Just missed inside. Down the right field line, slicing. It's going to be a fair ball. It's going to head to the wall. And it kicks by J.D. Martinez. Into 3rd, Brandon Moss will stop there. Ryan Rayburn with a double. Indians at 2nd and 3rd. Nobody out here in the 8th. Lonnie Chisenhall will be coming up next.
Second double of the afternoon for the Indians. Rayburn, his 2nd hit. And now they've got 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. And yeah, let's go. You got to cut into that lead. He stayed back on a breaking ball slider away that he stayed on and sliced it down into right field for Rayburn, his first extra base hit. Well, here you go. You get down to 6 outs, and they've got a battle. This is usually when the Indians start hitting, too, is late in the ball game, don't they?
Seems to be their their MO here in the first series at home. Grounded towards second base. One pitch. They get the out on Chisenhall. Moss scores. Rayburn to 3rd. It's 7-4. Roberto Perez has flied out twice and grounded out once. If you missed the news earlier, Yan Gomes put on the 15-day DL earlier today. And then an MRI revealed a moderate MCL sprain, and he'll be lost. They're talking 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, bad news. Bad news for the Tribe.
Perez socks one high in the air, deep center. Davis back. He's going to make the catch in front of the wall. Tagging and scoring is Ryan Rayburn. It's a 7-5 ball game. Went to the big part of the yard, did Roberto Perez, and almost hit it out of here, even into the breeze.
I was going to say, with the way the wind's blowing today, you're not going to get it out in center. He hit that ball pretty well. Had a long way to go, and the way that Davis was going back on it, if the wind was different, like yesterday or the day before, he's in business, but not today. Got to pick the days with the elements.
Michael Bourne flares one into foul ground, and the inning is over, but the Indians get 2 back. We'll go to the 9th. 7-5 Detroit.
Top of the ninth inning, Tigers lead at 7-5. It's time now for the Pat O'Brien play of the game. And let's go plays of the game, because when you look at Miguel Cabrera, he's done it all day long. First inning, a 2-run homer, and then a single and an RBI. His third at-bat, he'll hit another changeup onto the home run porch. And then his fourth time up, he hits a double. And you know what? They saw enough in the first where they walked him in the fifth at-bat. So that is it. It's been all Miguel Cabrera, actually, this whole series. 11 hits in the series.
And Sean Markham back out here for the ninth inning.
Something they're going to have to deal with 16 more times this year. Yeah, Markham has been a savior out there for that bullpen.
It's gone 4 scoreless, and he drops a nice breaking ball in on J.D. Martinez. Martinez singled his first 2 times up, driving in a pair of runs. Has struck out his last 2 times up. Fastball hit high in the air, deep left field. And Jerry Sands going to watch it get out of here. Third home run of the year for Martinez.
Boy, he went down and pulled his hands in and golfed that ball into the seats. The third home run for the Tigers today. Martinez hits his third. Watch how his hands come in and just golfs it out. Huh? Down and in. Smoked that ball. This guy has turned into some kind of player after he left Houston. My goodness. You don't think they could use him now?
Yeah. One of those deals where, you know, I think it's another reason why organizations are, you know, more prone to wait and not give up on a guy, because they don't want this to happen. They don't want to be that team. Boy, look at so-and-so. How'd they give up on that guy? But, I mean, you look back and played 113 games in 2012 and hit .241 with 11 homers. Played 86 games in 2013, hit .250 with 7 homers. And then last year in 123 games, pops 23 home runs and hits .315.
Well, and being in that lineup that he's in here may help, rubbing off, because I think he's learned a lot from Cabrera over there, to be honest with you. And Martinez, he's developed his swing and has changed it and patterned it after Martinez a little bit. And boy, what a world of difference it has made. He is a tough out in the middle part of that lineup. Well, another 8 runs on the board today for Detroit.
Cespedes chases one and strikes out. Third strikeout for Markham. Well, stay tuned for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio with Al and Jensen. Nick Castellanos, 1 out of 4 today with a double. Out of play to the right. Kansas City trying to stay unbeaten as well. They lead the Angels 4-1. They're only in the second inning. Out on the left coast.
Well, they get that trip over with early, don't they?
Yeah.
Out in L.A.
It's down to just Chicago and the Detroit and Kansas City. After the Braves were beaten over in the National League by the Mets. The 0-2. And he punches him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Sean Markham. Gives him 4 on the afternoon.
Yeah, that ball's down too. He's had a tough day back there.
Did you notice Roberto Perez didn't even bother trying to frame that one up either? A lot of times you see catcher try.
He was just looking to catch it. I'm surprised he didn't try and put a body on it.
James McCann 0 for 4 today. A couple of ground ball outs. A couple outs in the air. Nubs one off the end of the bat, right back to Markham. He'll throw him out. And the inning is over, but another home run for Detroit, their third of the day. First by Martinez here this afternoon, and they lead at 8-3. Let's recap our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. The Indians have not been able to have not been able to hold Detroit offensively in the series, and that's been a real problem. And against Kyle Lobstein, they had chances, couldn't break through.
Well, opportunities, right. But when you're trailing every day, you're trying so hard, you have to do that. They were behind all series long, and just when they scored, Detroit came back, and they just couldn't stop them. You know,
I go back to what David Price said. Now, he was speaking more to when you're facing a really good pitcher on the other side where you know it's going to be a low-scoring affair. He said it's important to put up zeros so that your offense knows they don't have to do anything special, don't have to work too hard. But that same kind of philosophy applies today. You get down 6-1 early, and all of a sudden the offense, it's human nature to think, need a big inning. We got to push.
Well, and you have to take advantage of everything. Yeah, you try too hard instead of relaxing and let things happen. You try and push it, and you force yourself, and it's not a good deal.
Oh, Joakim Soria. Breaking ball hit to left center. The left fielder Cespedes has it, one away. Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care, is coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Alan Jensen will be firing up the In-park set, tucked down in the right field corner. Now here is Jason Kipnis. He's 1 for 4 on the day, singled back in the 5th inning. Takes it low. Soria pounds the strike zone, 1-2 the count. Just missed outside. Soria wanted a strike call, didn't get it. Bounce towards short, backhanded by Iglesias. Gets rid of it quickly. Cabrera can't scoop it. And Kipnis is aboard with 1 out here in the 9th. And now 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate.
Well, it's a play that I think Iglesias tried to rush a little bit. He had the play in front of him. He had time to set and maybe get a little more on the throw. Watch how quickly he gets rid of it. But it was short, so that's going to go as an error on Iglesias.
Caught him right in the heel of the glove. Speaking of Miguel Cabrera, so Kipnis aboard with Santana at the plate. Carlos, a couple of hits, an RBI, and a run scored today. First pitch swinging, pops it up. And the third baseman, Romine, just into the ball game. Squeezed it to hold on 2 away.
In comes Soria, the catcher's coming out, and if you're the third baseman, that's the play you got to take away for that catcher. That's tough enough in day games, but the third baseman comes in. It's still a little shaky when you have to run all that way in.
Jerry Sands to the plate, 1 for 4 today. He's trying to keep it alive. Get to Brandon Moss. Kipnis goes to second on the old defensive indifference. If Sands can get aboard, that would give at least Brandon Moss 1 crack at tying this baby up with 1 swing of the bat. He's in the hole, 0-2. Soria's 2-strike pitch. Strikes him out to end the game. So the Detroit Tigers come to Cleveland and in their first road series of the season sweep the Indians by a final today of 8-5. Tigers go to 6-0 on the year. The Indians drop to 2-4. Kyle Lobstein wobbled through 5 innings to get the win, his first. TJ House roughed up in his first start of the year, takes the loss. Well, too much Tiger hitting. I mean, I don't know how else to explain that this weekend.
I can't wait to get them out of town. I'll tell you what, we're going to have to get them and go back to Detroit and play them in a couple of weeks because we'd rather play them there. They play very well. The 7th straight game they've beaten the Indians. They came in here on fire. They pitched well. Not as well as they were pitching coming into this series, but boy, they were all over the place, hitting 2-out base hitting, and their offense they were locked in, Matt. They were hot. That's all you can say.
Yeah, usually you don't see a team that hot.
Not that many
first
guys.
week of the season.
You expect the middle part of their order to be hot. You know, when you're talking about Cabrera and Martinez and Cespedes, okay. But I'm telling you, everybody was hot throughout their lineup.
Well, the Tigers roll to an 8-5 win. They are one of two remaining unbeaten teams in baseball. Kansas City is the other. They're in action right now in L.A., leading the Angels early in that ball game. That's going to wrap up our coverage. Stay tuned for Indians Live next. We're back Tuesday when the Indians host the White Sox.